Welcome to A Fortnight on the Isle. I'm your host, King Crusoe, but you can call me KC, and today we're wrapping up yet another couple of weeks here on the channel, and for some of the other things that I tend to be working on. Last time around on this show, I was pretty accurate in saying that February has been flying by. The rest of it certainly did. I am, however, no longer stuck in the January mindset anymore. Last time around I was saying February's flown by, but I'm still thinking it's January, and thankfully that's not quite the case now. I'm more in the March, April, May sort of mindset at the moment because I'm preparing a ton of things ahead of time for the channel on account of some expected to be pretty chaotic work schedule. I've also been trying to catch up on some things that I haven't been doing, mostly just last week, I will admit, because of a pretty bad case of lethargy that I've been kind of just struggling to do really anything recently. So let's begin this episode talking like I normally do about the reading for the week, or for the couple of weeks, I suppose. The week isn't necessarily horribly inaccurate. The first thing that I did this fortnight was I finished reading Red Rabbit. Thankfully, this was actually a pretty quick read, all things considered. Was able to push through the rest of it. It is really fast. Like, this hardcover, if you look at it in comparison to something else, or your more standard hardcover these days, it's quite small, and there's also not a whole lot of words per page. The text reads pretty quick, and finishing it was a joy. I think this book is great. If you have any interest or any sort of fan of a Western setting, but more specifically a supernatural type of story, supernatural Western story in here, Red Rabbit is definitely going to be something that you'll enjoy. I liked it a whole lot, and I'm excited to check out the sequel that's actually coming out here pretty soon, hopefully in the not too distant future, because this thing was great, and it has one of the best resolutions of any book that I've read, in that it incorporates and wraps up the stories of not just all of the main characters very well, but also a lot of side characters who you wouldn't have expected to get any real mention again after they were no longer part of the main plot. I enjoyed Red Rabbit a ton. I'm also in the process of finishing A Crown of Swords by Robert Jordan, and I say in the process of finishing because at this point I have right around 60 pages remaining, so it's still a little bit left. I was hoping that would only be about 40 pages remaining, but then I ran out of time this morning. I slept in, because I slept like garbage basically this entire week, so blame that on me. But at the time of this video's release on Sunday, March 2nd, March 1st should be the last day that I need to finish this. One more day of reading basically is what I'm looking at. And I've enjoyed the book overall. Definitely been a little bit slower in forms of revelations, but the actual pacing of the story hasn't been much different than previous Wheel of Time books, so I don't understand why some people would lump this in with any supposed slog. And who knows if the slog actually exists in the series in the first place, but if it does, I wouldn't necessarily consider this any more part of it than I would consider Lord of Chaos part of it, as a random example. But the ending has started to come into a couple of explosive, not necessarily climactic events, but pretty important events where something like actually big happens, and it's like, oh, that's going to have ramifications on the future of the series. Both of the real major storylines that have been being followed in this book have featured these kind of moments. In fact, one of them I just read today, and I guess I still have one more chapter before I finish off what that storyline has to offer. One chapter left of the other primary storyline, what that has to offer, and one chapter that I think is of other miscellaneous auxiliary material rather than the main story. And I'm looking forward to finishing that. By the time this video comes out, I'm almost certainly done with it. But I can't say as to how I feel about the actual ending of the book yet. You'll have to wait for Tuesday for that, which of course we'll get to in due time. The other thing that I've done this week, or this fortnight rather, is I started reading my first physical ARC that I've received from anyone. That is For the White Country by Boston Tarrant, another Western story. This one more of a historical Western, as opposed to Red Rabbit being more of a supernatural Western with kind of fantasy light stuff in it. This one is good so far. I haven't read very much of it, only about 40 pages out of 260, so I'm only like 14% or so of the way through this. I don't really have too many thoughts at the moment. All I know is that the premise sounds good, and if executed really well, could make for a really great book, but if executed poorly, could make for a really browbeating book, and one that wouldn't be very fun as a result. So I'm looking forward to continuing, because it has started off pretty strong up to this point. But if it decides to go a more browbeating route, which it could, it may not, who knows, I haven't figured that out yet. I need to read more of it to know for sure. If it goes that route, it may not be as good as I want it to be, but we'll definitely see about all of that as I continue that. I'm going to try to have a review for that on the day that that book actually officially releases on March 11th, so I only have about a week or so to read that before I have to get that review recorded and edited. So I'm going to be spending basically the whole upcoming week working on that, trying to finish it in time for that review. But speaking of upcoming reviews and releases and stuff like that, I might as well talk about the actual upcoming releases here and say that on the main channel I have about 6 videos coming out, and on the second channel I expect to have 4 videos coming out, but we have yet to see whether I can actually follow through with that. Tomorrow, on March 3rd, will be my regular State of Affairs video for the month, covering all of the channel statistics and everything like that in the month of February. I'm looking forward to that one, as February was a pretty good month and definitely overperforming compared to last February, even in relativity to previous months. And we'll get into all that in tomorrow's video. But needless to say, 2025 has been going pretty good for the channel so far, pretty great even. And I'm grateful to everybody who's been checking out all the videos. Thank you for all of that. And I look forward to having more stuff release in the future. On Tuesday the 4th will be my regular monthly reading wrap-up and TBR video, and also where I talk about my book of the month. In that video, I hinted, will be when I can actually talk about how I felt about the ending to some degree of A Crown of Swords, and then talk about some of the other things that I've been reading, and of course, give you what I expect to read in March, assuming that everything goes well, because, you know, it's very real possibility that things don't go horribly well on that front, but I'm looking forward to that. On Thursday, the 6th, will be the 42nd episode of the Wheel of Time Diaries, in which I will be able to actually talk about all of the events of the chapters, the spoiler talk for the end of A Crown of Swords, finishing that book up. That bled over into taking a 5th week of diaries rather than just 4 like I expected, and even so, those 4 videos that have come out already have all been like amongst the longest, if not all 4 the longest episodes of Wheel of Time Diaries, which is really surprising to me. But I guess that's how things are going to be this year, and I look forward to wrapping all of that up and, you know, getting that video ready tomorrow at the time that I'm recording this, but that'll be out on Thursday, like I said. Next week, on the 9th of the month, will be my February book haul video, and it's not really going to be that much of a haul. There's only a couple of physical items in there. I don't even think there's any audiobooks in there, and there's not a whole ton of ebook stuff. If you've been paying attention to BookTube to any capacity for the last, like, 2 weeks at this point, you certainly know about some of Amazon's changes, and the fact that they've disabled the ability to download copies of your ebooks to your computer and be able to transfer them to Kindle that way, which means that you have no way of being able to use, like, Caliber, for example, to be able to undo the DRM stuff on your books, because Amazon only sells you leases to your books instead of actual copies of the books. They can delete or edit those books at their sole discretion. And of course, that's all their TOS stuff. It's fine and dandy, but they made it so that you can't download that stuff anymore. So I'm not entirely sure how often I'm going to be collecting a bunch of ebooks via Amazon at this point in the near future, even though I just hopped on the Kindle train like less than a year ago at this point, and haven't even read that many books on it either. So we'll see what things go down there. A very high chance that I'll go back to doing quarterly book hauls after March, as opposed to the monthly book hauls that I've been doing up to this point. So, you know, that's how things have been going in this place, but that's the video that'll release next Sunday. Next Tuesday on the 11th will be episode 224 of the Book Bench, where I'll actually review The White Country. Like I said, I'm going to be spending the next week or so reading through all of this so that I can get that arc review on time for the book's release. I'm looking forward to that. Next Thursday on the 13th will be my review for A Crown of Swords, so a whole lot of Wheel of Time talking about in the early portions of this month, getting through that, and then preparing basically for being able to read Path of Daggers in April. But of course, that's all stuff that we can talk about in about a month's time. Let's talk about the releases coming on the second channel. Like I said, I have about 4 of these that I'm expecting to get out these next couple Mondays. On the 3rd and the 10th, I have more Music Mania episodes coming out. Tomorrow is episode 9 of that, where I'll talk about the brand new Architects release, and then I'll go back and talk about a couple albums from last week that I forgot to. Next week will feature like the new Spirit Box album, which I know is coming out pretty soon, and then whatever else may or may not come out for that. So my placeholder thumbnails are a little bit more prepared this time around. I spent a couple days of the last week getting all of the thumbnails for every single video in March taken care of. So I've already recorded most of the videos for March and getting those edited this weekend as well. Then this Friday, sorry, not Friday anymore. These aren't on Fridays. This Saturday and next Saturday on the 8th and the 18th, will finally be starting my Remnant 2 Let's Play, assuming I have the time to edit those. Over the last couple weeks, several weeks at this point actually, I've been pretty lethargic and haven't really been doing much more than I've strictly needed to keep up with video schedule, which is a me problem, but that means that I haven't really done any of the editing for Remnant Let's Play stuff that I've been needing to do. So if I'm able to get through all of the March stuff for the main channel this week like I plan to, and frankly, it shouldn't be that hard to be able to keep up with it. And as long as I am, then this coming Friday, I'm going to be going through and plowing through several of those Remnant 2 edits just to get them prepared and uploaded real quick. So theoretically, this weekend I can start doing that, but I haven't done any of the editing yet. So if it doesn't happen this weekend, definitely next weekend the tutorial episode will come out. But yeah, so I'll be starting that joint Let's Play with Josh and getting those episodes up, and I'm looking forward to that. But beyond the video releases, let's talk about the writing that I've done over the last couple weeks. Not quite as substantial as the previous Fortnight. Again, like I said, the last couple weeks have been not really doing a whole lot. Found it hard to really work on anything that hasn't been, directly like necessary, I guess, something that wasn't going to be immediately releasing to some degree. So obviously no work on the Reign of Ash because that's not my main project at this current point in time. On the Tributaries, only added about 700 words to chapter 2 of In Moment in Memory, that first story in that, and it was going pretty well, but I haven't had the time really to be able to keep up with it. Between work being a little bit busier the last couple weeks, this week especially, I was really busy, and then having a couple other personal things that have been going on that have prevented me from working on that at home, not least of all this past week working on a bunch of videos for March. But as soon as I'm done with video stuff for this month, I'm going to be working on that story as the immediate priority, ahead of working on a bunch of April and May stuff ahead of time. For reviews and everything like that, I still haven't written any more words for book reviews, so like Monster Volume 9 is still waiting to have a review after like 3 weeks at this point. Red Rabbit also needs a review now that that's finished. I'm going to be finishing A Crown of Swords here too, so that's probably going to need a review this fortnight. The White Country is going to need a review that will have to come out on March 11th. It doesn't have to, but I want it to come out probably on March 11th. At the same time as, well, it can come out ahead of time because Goodreads isn't stingy about dates the way that Amazon is, but the White Country review will need to happen over this coming fortnight as well, so I've got book review stuff to catch up on, which is probably going to be rough with the Tributaries that I need to work on as well. That kind of hurts, but I've gotten 2,275 words added for album review stuff on the second channel when I do Music Mania. 12 albums were reviewed over the last couple weeks, and yeah, if you want to know more about any of that stuff, check out the Music Mania episodes or my music board profile in the description below. I haven't added any words for game reviews, even though I've had a couple pages up to be able to review Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and the Crowsworn demo. I just haven't written those kind of the same way I haven't written book review stuff, so they're ready to go or ready to start writing, but I haven't actually written those. And then film reviews I haven't written anything for because I haven't quite watched anything recently, but I am going to be definitely watching one movie over this fortnight. Speaking of which, Entertainment Talk is pretty simple. Crowsworn demo would have released yesterday at the time of this video's release, and had a fun time making that video. and playing that demo for the first time. That's the thing that I did over this Fortnite. As basically, as soon as I finished Fortnite on the Isle last time around, I went and played this, recorded the Let's Play for it. Aside from certain like balance issues in the way that the difficulty balancing of the game is structured, because what that demo seeks to do is kind of show you what like the early game and sort of like mid-game difficulty would be when you're condensing early and mid-game of something that's probably going to be, I don't know, like, you know, well over 50 plus hours if I were to guess. Probably not something too horribly dissimilar from Hollow Knight's length. Condensing all of that difficulty curve down into just a few hours is going to be a little bit difficult, so I took a little bit of issue with the balancing of the difficulty in there. Some of the secrets and locations of things were a bit unintuitive in my opinion, but beyond those minor gripes, I did have a fun time with the demo. Even though my first attempt at recording that Let's Play didn't go very well, the back half of it took a few hours long when it should not have taken anywhere near that long. So I re-recorded the Let's Play after knowing where everything was and stuff. It was just like, hey, here's a Let's Play where I kind of just play through this again, now knowing what I didn't know the first time around, which ended up being under 2 hours. So that's the difference between the first run and the second run there, and I enjoyed my time with that, spending just about 8 hours with it in total. But that is the bulk of what I played over the last couple weeks. Film, like I said, I don't have anything to report on things that I've watched recently, but I am going to be seeing Mickey 17 in theaters this week with my friend when that's out, so I'll definitely have something to talk about next time around on Fortnite on the Isle with that. Hopefully I'll be able to get a review for that pretty early as well. And editing Crusoe here, just popping in to say that I completely forgot to add I went to a basketball game with my dad over the last couple weeks for entertainment, and that was fun. Even though the Jazz's defense in the second quarter, especially in this game against the Thunder, absolutely destroyed themselves. Like, seriously, stop letting them take so many easy shots. It would have been so much better for them if the second quarter didn't go bad. It would have been a very close game otherwise. But gripes about the game itself aside, I had fun seeing a live game again for the first time in many years. Only the second time I've gone to one in the first place anyway. And reminds me why I have to resist watching basketball all the time, because I know it would be a problem if I let myself do it more. Nonetheless, that is it for this Fortnite on the Isle. Thank you for watching this video if you did. I really appreciate it. For now, I've been your host, King Crusoe. You can call me Casey, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.